over the time. And it actually adds meaning to our life. As Kusum Chauhan introduced, there are 6 presentations. So I think we need not waste our time because all these things have already been discussed, I believe. So over to the first presenter. The first presentation is by Joshin A, right? Joshin?
Yes, ma'am. She has joined in here.
Isn't she here?
Hello, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
I can't hear anyone. I don't know why. I can't hear anyone speaking.
We can hear you.
Can anyone hear me
Yes,
speaking?
yes,
Like, I
we
can't
can
see.
hear you.
Yes, yes, okay, okay.
I don't know why. Sir, I can't hear any word. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. Okay, I'll just finish it. Okay, so everybody. Oh, okay, maybe 1 second. Maybe I'll try this. Okay, fine. Anyway, I don't know why my I can't hear any audio, but I'll just finish it off so that I can no time is wasted. So good afternoon, everyone. I am Joshin. I am from the university called Vellore University. Vellore University. I mean, sorry, VIT Vellore, but VIT Vellore in Andhra Pradesh. So it's called VIT AP. And I'm currently in Tamil Nadu. And my topic is on murdered gods, basically. So what is meant by murdered gods? So basically, when someone when someone due to various reasons is killed off or dies in various ways, and then is then made into a god. Basically, they are called murdered gods according to according to Siva Subramaniam. So if you guys can see, this is the book that I have chosen for the. If you guys can see this, this is the book that I have chosen as the primary source, and this is in Tamil. So one of the reasons why I chose this was, even though this is a very important bit of folklore history, this was not present outside of Tamil. And so I wanted to give a translation as well as provide a kind of my own analysis as well as understanding of the folklore. And as I am from this area, I thought I could give it substance. So basically, and I'll just start presenting. One second, please. Yeah. So I don't know, like I don't know why the yeah. I'll just do this. I don't know how I'm going to know whether this is actually working or not. Hello? I don't know why the audio is not.
Yes, it is visible to us, but can you please enlarge it?
Yeah. Now I can hear you guys. I don't know why it was previously not visible. Okay.
Thank God, rush then.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, as I introduced myself, I wanted to focus upon Marx, as it struck to me when it came to how he stated that opium, how religion he considers religion as the opium of the people, and I was like, okay, so the concept why I kind of thought about this when I was reading the folklore compiled by Siva Subramaniam was because when I understood that there was a lot of underlying problems, and even though the religion was not treating the underlying issue, whatever may be, it was treating the symptoms which was treating the symptoms which was causing a lot of harm. So it basically was the opium of the people in the sense it treated the symptoms and rather than treating the actual disease. So in that way, I thought opium of people was very important when it comes to Marx. and Apotheosis. The reason why I chose the word Apotheosis was that it was a religious neutral term, because I thought of using the word deification, and deification was a more or less Christian centric term, and I did not want to use a Christian centric term when it came to like a Hindu mythological. I don't even know what to call it. Hindu mythological. It's more like ancestral, religious folklore. So after that, I started using the word Apotheosis for this. And then the reason for using Siva Subramaniam's work was, even though he was well known among the peers in this region, he's not well known outside of this region. So I wanted to kind of give him a little bit more importance in my work. And it is from his work why he considers these are the reasons why the individuals are killed. So as I mentioned, it's hostility among landowner because of the land ownership, and based on the hostility, people are killed. That is the reason. Jealousy, superstition, immoral sex conduct, as well as enmity due to family issues, due to war. That is a very big reason why a lot of small gods tend to be in village areas and in specifically war-torn areas. And crime, that is one issue. Crime is also a way where people can become gods as well. And when someone is protective of someone else and they die there, and that is also a reason. Intercaste love, and when someone is killed off or dies as a way of upholding the honor of the family, that is also considered as the reason for why some people are killed off. And the reasons why I chose this was to give it more substance when it comes to the process of it. So what is the process in which they become gods? One reason I found out that was poetic justice. When someone dies off and there is no happy ending of sorts, let's say that, the folklore is then added on, where mythological elements are feeded into it, and as a sort of a poetic justice is given to it, and the whole story becomes as if it is a mythological lore, where half of it is real, actual history, and half of it is fictional, poetic justice based story. That is one thing which I've seen in some stories. Fear of retribution, that is something as well. They do not want the retribution of the murdered people to come back and haunt them, or give them any kind of problems, chaos, or whatever, and they give them. So because of that, they tend to fear them, and because of that, they become gods. They are made into gods, usually by the people who have killed them. And calming of the spirits, this is done by either or. So when they find out that a spirit is causing commotion, they tend to, in order to calm the spirit, they apothesize that spirit into a god. That is one reason. And veneration as martyrs is due to multiple reasons, due to war, as well as if someone is considered as a martyr to a specific community, they are also venerated as a god. So these are the reasons why I thought they were apotheosized gods. And these are the stories. So one story is of Kolenchery. So this is a story in the district of Tuticorin in the village of Trandikula. So Kolenchery are basically from lower caste background, and they have a kind of they have land. So basically they have a small patch of land which is not liked by the landowner of a different caste who is supposedly of a higher caste, and he wants the land for a throwaway price. Kolenchery, they don't want to give away the land. Thereby, the landowner pushes him into pushes him into a plot, asks him to come nearby him, puts his ring into a pit. The Kalyan goes into the pit in order to retrieve the ring. He he asks some people, he asks his followers to come and kill him. That's it. And thereby, but the thing about the process is, when it comes to process of making, like someone as a god, it is by themselves. Like the people who have murdered them themselves did not want the retribution of them, and thereby constructed a temple of sorts to worship them. And thereby, it is the people who killed them who made them as gods. Next is Vandi Malayan and Vandi Malayachi. So this is a case of a brother and sister who actually were not, who did not have any kind of parents or anyone to take care of them, and in hunger they drank the liquid which was kept for making cotton threads. And on knowing that they drank the liquid, the the cotton weavers basically beat them to death, and because of that, then what happened was they believed that the two had come back to create chaos in their homes as well as in on the pathway where they are going to sell the cotton threads, and thereby then they created they created a sort of a temple where there is no roof, and as you can see, as I have shown, like maybe I can show it in the later part of the video. These two gods are not shown in an upright position. They are basically always shown in a position where they are either on the ground level, where they are just they look as if they are sleeping, or in the way the gods are sleeping. So basically, that is because, Siva Subramaniam says that it's because they were in that position after death for a good amount of time, and that is why they were kept like that. And the reason why there is no roof is also because they were kept outside. They were kept outside for everyone to see, and they were just left there to die. So because of that, their temple is also made like that. And the next Vandimala and Vandimalachi, there is also another origin story. So basically, they were gods previously, before the brother and sister already became, and they were just absorbed. Like the brother and sister gods were absorbed into the prior regional gods called Vandimala and Vandimalachi. And Pattavarayan and Pattabiran. So what happens was, there's a guy called Pattabiran who was from the Marava caste, who fell in love with a girl called Koilampuchi from the Palla caste. So they go to a forest, and in they do not have any people. They do not have any kind of food to eat, and thereby they kill off the goats and which are grazing nearby, and they eat them. And what happens was, the 7 brothers of Koilampuchi, that's the girl, and they track her down using the help of the goat herds, who tell them where they are based on where they see that the goats are being killed. And then the 7 brothers, that is also a trope here. It's in folklore, when it comes to Tamil folklore, as far as I have seen, it is usually 7 brothers who are always mentioned. And 7 brothers kill off both the man and the woman, and as well as the dog. So all 3 are killed by the brothers. And what happens is, the youngest brother wanted Koilampuchi to live, but so he asks for them to not kill the girl, but they kill them off. So the only guy, and when they return back to their homes, all the 6 brothers out of 7 die off, and the 7th brother creates the temple in order to deify or apotheosize the gods. So the three are together apotheosized. His name is changed from Pattabiran to Pattavarayal, and her name is changed from Koilampuchi to Puchiyamman. So Amman is also a regional name. So these 3 are made in a very different way. So they are processed along with a dog, which is considered as like a kind of a smaller god or something like that. And this is one reason. And the next, if we go, it's called a Muthupata. Muthupatan is a very
Joshin, we don't have much time, huh?
Yes, I'll just finish it. I'll just finish it fast. Yes, sir. So next we have the story of Muthupatan. So basically, he's a Brahmin guy who falls in love with a girl from an Ardhadhir caste, and then they are killed off because of their intercaste love. And the way they are apotheosized is basically by way of food. For the guy, it's usually non-vegetarian food, and for the girl, it's usually vegetarian food, which is given as padayal or offering. And next we have the story of so Muthupatan is actually retold as well, in the sense, like, as he's of a Brahmin caste, later what they did was they created a story where the girls whom he married were also of Brahmin caste. Basically, they told that the girls were actually found by an Ardhadhir caste person, but they were actually of the Brahmin caste person. And thereby, by retelling the story in such ways, they tend to sanitize the story for when they become famous. So when a god becomes famous, they tend to sanitize it and retell it in a different way. The same happened to Madurai Veeran as well. So he was actually of Ardhadhir caste, but later he was actually retold as someone who's off from the higher caste from a warrior caste. And then we have war martyrs, which is basically when someone dies in war, they are basically there is a tombstone which is kept in the place where they died, and the people tend to worship them as well. And this is actually kind of similar to the concept of Valhalla in Nordic mythology, where if you die in war, you're basically sent into Valhalla is basically the gods, the region where Odin lives. And then we have Pulaimadan, tombstone worship, basically. So Pulaimadan is basically a deity who, so he killed a cow. So that is a big issue where, and the person who was supposed to take care, and it's not a normal cow, it's the cow of the nearby temple, and thereby he's killed off. And but still he was martyred, and then he by the people of his own caste, which becomes but the thing is, like, he was murdered for thievery, and then he is also considered a martyr. This is actually a very interesting story that I read. And Chinnathambi is actually someone who is kind of well known among the regional gods. Chinnathambi is basically made into a film as well in a certain way. So he's of a small caste. As I told earlier, he died because he was a person of bravery, and he was killed off by higher caste. But then,
Hello, 1 second. Sorry to interrupt, but your time is up. Okay, please conclude it so that we may move to the next one.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So yes, as I told you, there are multiple ways these people tend to become gods. One is, I'll just finish up. So one is based on folk songs. So Chinnathambi is basically made into a god using folk songs, temple worship in different ways. And Puthupattiamman, due to collective guilt, this is something that I could have taken some time. But anyway, so Puthupattiamman is someone who basically became a goddess based on the collective guilt of a whole village. So yeah, so that is about it. And thank you for giving me the time. And I hope like I did at least a little bit of justice to the research. So thank you, people. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshin, for that insightful and elaborate presentation. But for shortage of time, we couldn't listen to you more. We will hold the questions till the end of all the presentations. So let's move on to the next presentation by Ritu Jangid on Bhakti, Bards and beyond.
Yes, ma'am.
Ritu, we have less time, so we have to, speed it up. Sonia is giving you happy time.
All right, sir, I'll speed it up. Hello, everyone. My name is Ritu, and I'll be presenting on Bhakti, Bards, and beyond the Crow Court, tracing narrative traditions in Rajasthani folklore. I'll be talking about how different social groups construct their memory and identity based on these narratives. So obviously, we will encounter a lot of contrasting perspectives on history and society. And these narratives get influenced by caste and the kind of patronage that they have enjoyed. And their performative contexts are very different. I'm only looking at Bhakti movement's role in reshaping folk traditions for this particular paper. And I'm going to try and make a distinction between the kind of narrative that exist in Rajasthan, which were court-sponsored, called as the Charani tradition. It's a tradition that runs common between Gujarat and Rajasthan, versus any kind of subaltern storytelling vis-a-vis the oral tradition or other bards, which are known as Bhad Rav. So this distinction is there because the Charani narratives are records that are preserved in genealogies of the Rajput kings, and these people enjoyed high privilege and patronage in all of the Rajput courts. And on the other hand, the bards that are now called as Bhat, who are kind of the genealogists for other communities and social groups like Jat or Bishnoi, or for like my community as well, they claim to have similar royal ancestors who enjoyed patronage, but these stories, they have evolved, and the contemporary fieldwork that have been done on their life by people like Jeffrey Snodgrass tells us that you can't really trust this narrative of them also being from the royal courts, because they certainly did not enjoy the same kind of royal, high privileged elite patronage. So there are some distinctions that I've tried to draw between these two kinds of bard. There is a significant difference between their social status and the role that they have played in society. Their relationship with Rajputs is also different because of that. Their performance style is very different when it comes to the linguistic aspects, especially the language. It's called Dingle versus Pingle. And the kind of patronage they enjoyed again, and the kind of regions that they had influence over. We'll talk about more about the languages. Dingle versus Pingle. Dingle is the poetry in Rajasthan where Rajasthani as a language really came to be, and it got diverged from the influences of other languages such as Braj Bhasha and Sanskritization. But it's difficult to make these kind of linear distinctions between the two things because Bharts claim that their kind of poetry, which is Pingal, is more Sanskritized, it is more classical, which is true. That's the style that they do write in, but their subject matter is not as royal or it's not as classical as Pingal poetry is. Pingal poetry is basically a mixture of Rajasthani literature, Rajasthani language, as well as Braj Bhasha elements. But Dingal came to be its own variety of the Rajasthani poetry. Let's just talk about the Bhakti movement briefly in the context of Rajasthan. It kind of emphasizes on love and devotion to one particular deity, that is Krishna, Shiva, or Rama, and it is subversive in nature, and it basically bodes to resistance, and it talks about devotion being available to everyone, irrespective of caste and class. There were a lot of Rajput rulers who have viewed themselves as warrior king only. It was important to win wars. It was important for the Rajputs to have this image of themselves as warriors. So they kind of employed these genealogists and bards to create a kind of Rajput ethos that made them into very good warriors. So bravery and heroism were valorized, and emotional attachment to your own children and not being able to die as a young Rajput were looked down upon. This kind of literature was created for them, and upper class of Charani Bard poets came into place so that the influence of the Brahmins becomes lesser and the Rajputs emerge as more powerful, and they are not bound by caste hierarchy anymore, and their power over the court and the social milieu increases. So one example that I want to take from this elite kind of a tradition is this particular couplet. Mewad Mati Sakshi, Rakhyo Regular Kulri Reed, Rana Ro Ran Ghama.
Ritu ma'am, sorry to interrupt. The slides are not moving, so we cannot see the couplet.
Okay, I'll try to share it again. Is the couplet visible now?
Yes, ma'am, it is. Thank you so much.
Okay. मेवाड़ माटी साक्षी राख्यो रघुकुलरी रीत राणा रो रण घमासान घूमे गोवर्धन गीता प्रीत. So this couplet intertwines bhakti elements with the praise of Rajput valor as well. And these are some kings that were influenced by Bhakti poetry and this tradition of devotion. It kind of got space into the poetry that the kings were writing themselves, the poetry that the elite poets were writing themselves, as well as it became a part of the oral tradition. These are, let's take example of Mirabai. These are the kings or the poets in her time that got influenced by her bhajans, and there is proof from all over Rajasthan that these kind of songs or oral traditions found their place into the larger elite court narratives as well, by way of appropriation. Another such saint who was a poet around this time, he was called Dadu Dayal, and one of his couplets is mentioned here. Avan पूछ कर चल रे तन की कूच न होए ना जाने किस बाट में फिर पर करनी जोए, which means prepare to leave this world, O traveler, but do not let the body delay. Who knows which path you must walk again, bound by your deeds. So again, these kind of poetics influenced a lot of kings and their bards, and it kind of emphasized bhakti over the ritualism of larger Hindu pantheon gods and Hindu traditions. And
Ritu, we are running short of time. Could you speed it up? We have 4 more
Yes, ma'am.
presentations.
I'll wrap up. So unlike the traditional bards, there is this another beyond the court oral narratives that exist. One such examples would be the Mirabai of the Gadia Luhar, which is very famous. These are a semi-nomadic tribe which left Mewar after Maharana Pratap was beaten down. So their folk songs and narratives still talk about Mirabai's bhajans, and they have kept that tradition alive. Although these kind of settlements are also turning back into proper homes and everything. So one such example from the archives is this very popular Meera bhajan, Payoji maine Ram Ratan Dhan payo, खर्चे न खूटे चोर न लूटे दिन दिन बढ़त सवायो, सत की नाव खेवटिया सतगुरु कृपा कर अपनायो, मीरा के प्रभु गिरधर नागर हरक हरक जस गायो. And this is from the fieldwork that we did under Rajasthani Bhasha Academy in Bikaner, where the difference between the languages.
By presenting your key points.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just about to wrap up in a minute. So he mentions the kind of work that they do, the kind of script that they learn, and the kind of language that they use. So in conclusion, in this paper, I'm trying to understand how oral traditions are used as a tools for negotiation on, and what can be their limitations, and how they are used by hegemonic structures to kind of get appropriated and so forth. But it is very interesting to see still how these narratives, because they are in the hands of these bards who consider themselves very powerful because they have the knowledge of this language with which they keep within their community. So it gets redefined all the time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ritu, for the presentation with number of good examples. Let's move on to the next presentation. It's by Pragya, Kashyap, Dutta. Pragya.
Pragya, are you there?
So I can't see your name in the joining list.
Sonia, we can go for the next one. I think someone is
Okay,
there.
then the next one is by Shivangi Nautiyal.
She is there. Shivangi is there.
Tradition bearers of Garwa.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, welcome. Shivangi, you may begin.
Yes, I just need a moment, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, we are able to see your slide.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shivangi Nautiyal. I am a research scholar at BITS Pilani, Hyderabad. The topic for my presentation today shall be Betwixt, Between and Becoming, Tradition Bearers of Garhwal in Liminal Spaces. This paper is an attempt to look into how the tradition of performing oral narratives as songs and or dance has ever so been the onus of particular hereditary caste communities in Uttarakhand's Garhwal Himalayas, notably the Hudkias, Aussies, Bajkis, and Bardis. Shilpakas here being the umbrella term for these castes. The intention is to trace the Shilpakas' role in the origin and preservation of the said folk tradition, as well as to locate the rather ambiguous social position of these tradition bearers within Garhwal. It should be noted that Shilpakar is a rather problematic replacement for Dome, one of the oldest designations for individuals of low social rank across northern India. The term appears in Tantra Sastras to indicate someone who lives by singing and music. The historian M.P. Joshi suggests that the etymology of Dome is in manner of onomatopoeia and connotates the sound of a drum. For the scope of this paper, the intention is to read through and expand upon the works of Stefan Fiol, an ethnomusicologist who has worked extensively on the Shilpa castes, particularly the Bardis. Bardi is a caste of itinerant performers who appear in pairs, consisting of a man who sings and plays the dholki and a woman who sings and dances. The origin story of Bardi has numerous variations in both oral and written sources. Born of the flesh of Shiva, the Bardi are not merely devotees, but in fact part of Shiva's form and thus literally embody his divine qualities. The connection to Shiva in his ascetic form manifests externally in various ways, most commonly through uncut hair or of at least one male member of the Bardi family. Other external signs that demonstrate the link with Shiva include the use of hashish, bhang, the wearing of a silver bracelet, dhagula, indicating mediumship in possession ceremonies, and the presence of a trident in the family shrine, which is also known as Devasthan. In addition, Badi sing in the accompaniment of a dholki, a smaller version of the double-faced dholak drum found throughout North India. Across three of his works in particular, Fiol explores the simultaneously divine and polluted status of the Bardi performer through Arnold van Gennep and Victor Turner's concept of liminality. I have tried to quote the definition of liminality as stated by Gennep. The Oxford English Dictionary notes that the word liminal first appeared in publication in the field of psychology in 1884, but the idea was introduced to the field of anthropology in 1909 by Gennep in his seminal work, Rites of Passage. He described rites of passage such as coming of age rituals and marriage as having the following three-part structure: rites of separation, transition rites, and the third would be rites of incorporation. The initiate is first striped of the social status that he or she possessed before the ritual. Secondly, he is induced into the liminal period of transition. And finally, given his or her new status, reincorporated into society. Van Gennep's theories were further elaborated by the anthropologist Victor Turner. Turner made a lasting contribution to the study of ritual symbols, which we would be interested in here. With reference to Gennep's concept of rites of passage, Turner made a significant theoretical study of the function of the ritual transitional phase and its similarity to other cultural acts of change of individual and social life. Turner arrived at the concept of liminality in his extensive and far-reaching study of rituals or rites of passage practiced by a certain tribe in Central Africa. In the course of examining these rites, which indicate and constitute transitions between states, Turner observed that the entire ritual process revolves around one term, limen or liminality. He developed the idea that human social life is characterized by the existence of an alteration between structured social roles and the blurring of these very social roles. That is the anti-structure as given in this diagram, which occurs in the ritual context. He finds anti-structure an essential feature of human existence because it is through the operation of anti-structure that human beings gain an understanding of their humanity and spirituality. Structure and anti-structure are linked dialectically, the former providing continuity and the latter affirming the significance of discontinuity. I shall particularly be focusing on one particular paper by Fiol here, Deconstructing Liminality, and adding to or bringing in a new perspective to his work, wherein he gives two broad categories of ritual liminality and social liminality. For ritual liminality, Fiol brings to light the rope-swinging rituals of Lang and Bagwar in colonial and pre-colonial Garhwal, performed by the Badi. Both rituals were performed on the order of the Raja, local rulers, as a remedy for an accumulated curse, affecting the region or community, manifesting as disease, famine, or impending catastrophe. Prior to the commencement of either of these rituals, the Badi selected to lead the ritual was worshipped as the vessel of Lord Shiva in puja, lasting between 1 or 9 days. Fiol's reading of these practices using Turner's concept establishes these rituals as a space of status reversal, wherein the Badis, otherwise stated lowest in the caste structure, assume a divine power over their superiors, social superiors for the period of the ritual. The Badi's identity thus becomes ambiguous, as his human and supposedly polluted qualities were supposed to enable his transformation into a sacred vehicle for this divine manifestation. However, it is worth wondering to what extent is Turner's idea of communitas or anti-structure applicable for these Lang and Badwar rituals. Turner posited that a number of structurally inferior social groups functioning within relatively close environments, for instance, hippies or the religious mendicants or Dalits, have demonstrated the prosperity to challenge the existing social order. The Badis, however, contrary to Fiol's hypothesis in this case, seem to be far away from challenging the social order, which is what this paper proposes, given the lack of corporal ownership. This only aligns with the refusal of land ownership to the Badis and the other Shilpakas. There is, in fact, enough evidence of body abuse in the name of said rituals, defying Turner's idea of challenging the existing social order. For instance, the hair pulling of the divinely possessed Badi as post-ritual holy offering. Some superstitious beliefs associated with the performance of the rituals also signify that there is a blurry breakaway from the human form to the divine, for there still remains an open avenue for the fall back to the human body. There is no clarity on how or what the new identity of the body assumes post the liminal stage, or the existence of bodies in a liminal space, thereby becoming a closed loop. To add to Fiol's understanding, it might be useful to introduce Homi Bhabha's model of liminality, for he puts no emphasis on the post-liminal stage. Bhabha further draws on, adheres to, and appropriates Victor Turner's idea of liminality in a discussion of a museum installment by African-American artist Rene Green. For instance, Bhabha describes the exhibit's postmodern stairwell as a liminal space in between designations of identity that becomes the process of symbolic interaction. And I quote him, "It is the connective tissue that constructs the difference between upper and lower, black and white," unquote. He theorizes the third space of confusion and paradox, or liminality, within the context of post-colonialism. Bhabha's idea of liminality as the beyond is again a transitionary in-between state or space, which is characterized by interdeterminacy, ambiguity, hybridity, potential for subversion, and change. Fiol delineates social liminality of the body.
Could you please speed up a little?
Right. I will. I'm about to conclude. Thank you. Fiol delineates social liminality of the bodies in terms of the ambiguous social position they occupy as folk artists, whereas one tries to compare their celebrated historical identity to contemporary identity as socially backward, landless, and jobless villagers. Credited as the singers, storehouses, and creators of folk narratives, the Badis did hold a relevant and revered position in the royal court, where they could hold both public and private performances. apart from entertainment. The function of the Bardi songs was to carry the news of the world to reflect the period's socio-political character. The songs here, for instance, mention Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, while one of them is about setting up of the first boarding school in Pori by the missionaries. With the onset of mass media, especially recorded songs, and now the intolerant, the practice of Bardis providing entertainment to their hereditary territory has died out. The contemporary Bardi has had to suffer a loss of their art form, wherein they had to change the thematic concerns of their art to suit the brass bands and DJs at weddings, for they become the only avenues of performance and money now. Additionally, there are risks of intellectual theft of these songs by the singers from the non-hereditary castes who are profiting off the bodies, an ongoing debate within the region. I would try to conclude here quickly by saying that Turner's concept of liminality is not completely applicable in the case of social liminality, either for the bodies, as they are indeed stuck in a liminal phase, but there is no desire or attempt for a post-liminal new identity. There exists not only a nostalgia for an idyllic past, but also it also seems to be the only way of life as ordained by the Dhol Shastra, as an almost divine musical treatise that these hereditary musical caste communities follow. This paper therefore provides due reasons for why Turner's model might not be the best to study the Badi community's liminal existence within contemporary Gadwar. But there is no clear breakaway from the preliminal stage in any of these instances that Stefan Fiol provides. The concept of communitas or anti-structure never surfaces, and lastly, there is a lack of definite post-liminal self. There are, however, some additional ways of thinking as the paper proposes the potential of Homi Bhabha's liminality model to think about body politics as a subconceptual framework, a close reading and comparative analysis of songs across the stages of liminality to further excavate and accumulate contemporary sentiments and narratives of, on, or by the body. These would be my references. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll rush into next. I think 8 minutes we'll use. There are two people, I feel.
So are we moving on to the next paper? Shivangi, thank you for your application of the concept of liminality to the folk culture of Uttarakhand, the Garhwal folk. Next presentation. It's a combined presentation, I think, by Himanshu Raj Bora and Krishna Kamal Khan.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, welcome to the presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll be sharing my PPT through the other device.
Okay. You have to take only 8 minutes, free to say.
Yes, sir.
If you can present your points without reading, probably you'll be
Yeah,
able
yeah.
to finish it within 8 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. So, we have heard about like the murdered gods, then Silpakar, then Bhakti moment. So let us quickly move towards Assamese folktales of Assam. And the central theme of this paper is surrounded in the character of a folk narrative of Bura Dangoria. So the title of my paper is Bura Dangoria, the guardian of Namghars and the embodiment of Assamese identity through folk lores and collective belief system, and it is being written by me and my co-author Krishna Kamal Khan, research scholars of Sikkim University, Department of English. So moving towards the because we don't have much time, so moving towards the character of Bura Dangoria. So Bura Dangoria is one of the celebrated or maybe a central character of Assamese folktale, and the narratives are being surrounded through the belief system or like the character of Buradangori is being worshipped, or not being worshipped, but is seen someone who is very like gentle and who protects Namgas. So what are Namgas? Namgas are like the monasteries which are like of Assamese community people. The monasteries which are of Assamese people, and where there are different practices that are being done there, along with the congregational like worships and all. So, so this paper explores how Assamese folktales serve as moral guides and how their themes and values are deeply embedded in Assamese society, influencing daily life and cultural practices of contemporary time. So the hypothesis, so Assamese folktales, particularly the narrative surrounding Buradangoria, serve as a vital medium for preserving cultural heritage, reinforcing ethnic identity, and fostering social cohesion. And these tales deeply embedded in community traditions and continue to shape Assamese society by influencing beliefs, behaviors, and collective consciousness across generations. So about the problem of the whole thing, who is Buradangori and why is Buradangori important in Assamese community, or is it a myth or a reality? Because there is a belief system in Assamese society about Buradangori, and how the contemporary Assamese society is no more connected, uh, maybe to the narrative or oral narratives of their own state, and how it is alienated in present times. And the main objectives of the paper to explore the folk narratives associated with Buradangoria, to examine the folk narratives and understand the gravity of the belief system inclined towards Buradangoria in Assamese society, and to explicate the understanding of the contemporary generations about folk narratives, and to understand about Namghars and its role in the heart of Assamese society, and how are they connected to the native identity of Assamese community. And here you can say, like, as we have talked about Namgas, so Namgas, as earlier mentioned, it is regarded as sacred monasteries of Assamese society created by Shankardev in the 15th and 16th century. Assam, to preach Vaishnavite religion, and one of the presenters earlier mentioned about Bhakti movement. So Bhakti movement in Assam was started by Shankardev in the 14th and 15th century, and to preach the Vaishnavite religion through like one god culture through Vaishnavite religion, Shankardev established these monasteries to continue to preach the religion of Vaishnavism. And narratives about Buradangari are are the oral narratives passed down from one generation to the next since ages, and Assamese society witnessed the emergence of Namgas like majorly during the 15th and 16th century, during the time of Shankardev. And the Namgas are like prayer halls and community like spaces and places of like or the platforms which are like the places where congregational, as earlier mentioned, worships are being done. And Boradangaria is also responsible for the sanctity of these Namgas. It is very important. And this gives an insight of the spiritual mediums and belief systems of the Assamese community. So here in this slide, you can see a like AI generated image of as like we got the descriptions from the case studies, and we generated one like image of Buradangari, how like we can like imagine him, or this is the particular thing that we got from the people with whom we interviewed with. And so the methodologies of qualitative and analytical methods are being used here. So interviews are being done, questions were being asked by the by us to the people, and data are being collected by like visiting various places where like people say that Buradangari's presence is being felt in those remote villages of Assam. Mainly two districts, Biswanath district and Lakhimpur district of Assam. So discussing about the main theme, so the spirit of Buradangoria is regarded as benign spirit who is seen often walking beside these Namgas or around these Namgas, and sometimes riding his white horse, as earlier we have shown. So wearing spotless white attire with flowing white hair and beard, like the description of Buradangoria, getting a glimpse of his presence is regarded as good omen. So one of the case studies that we have done is like once when this in this Namgas prayers are being offered by people, so one of the like girl she urinated in front of this monastery, like Namghar, and the second day, the next day, she was seen to be like her health very like it got deteriorated, and the village head with whom we interviewed with, so he like when he asked the whole thing about the incident about to their parents, to her parent. So her parents said that this happened last night. So from then this our child is like this ill. So there are certain rituals again here, which are being mentioned in our main paper. So there's those ritual, after like doing those rituals, like going to the Namghar, like begging for the pardon for whatever like thing is being done, because that particular place is regarded as a place of worship, purified places where like divine energies are being there. So after that thing, after offering her their prayers, this girl in the next day, her health started like she got cured after that. So there are certain rituals in this whole thing. So and there is a belief system by like interviewing these people, interviewing the villagers, village head, and all the people who have maybe witnessed the presence of this Bura Dangoria character or spirit. So they have said how like they offer their prayers, how those Bura like the village are being protected. Not only the Namghars, the village is also being protected from negative energies and negative spirits, or maybe negative people who have ill intention to either harm the Namghars or harm the people of the villages. So there are two case studies. I'd like to request my co-author Krishna Kamal Khan to kindly present the second case study.
Thank you, Himanshu. I will directly move to the case studies, as he has already introduced who the Burha Dangoria is. So I have interviewed one person named Bogiram Bora of my own village called Kamalpur. So he has told me that the 4th generation of his family having sight of that religious character called Burha Dangoria. He also introduced how he protects the Namghars, their own Namghars, and protect his family from the negative energy, as Himanshu Raj Bora has already mentioned. So he has mentioned his 4th generation name, Zurai Dehiram, Debiram, and he himself, Bogiram Bora. So once there was an incident, as he has mentioned, that Buhadanguria possessed his mother's body and taught them how to invite him to the religious ceremony called Bhavna performance in the Namghars. And he told him that he has to invite him one day before the performance, or that is called a religious performance called bhavna. So accordingly, there is a belief that if the people will not invite him one day before the performance called bhavna, he may leave the namghars on the day of the occasion, which may be an unfortunate to the family who is offering that particular religious performance. Now I request Himanshu Raj Bora to conclude it.
Yeah, so thank you. So moving towards the concluding remarks. So there are three certain remarks that you have been came across. The first, Buradangmari is the blessing, Buradangmari the curse, and preserving the legends of Buradangmaria. So seeing him or having a glance of his horse is regarded as a blessing in Assamese community. So this not only builds a belief system but also creates an ecosystem positively for the Namghars, and disrespecting these Namghars again and his presence is something regarded as sin by Buradangmaria, and Buradangmari is said to be the one that takes care of it, and thus he maintains the sanctity of these Namghars and Assamese society as a whole. And exploring the these studies or the presence of Buradangmaria or all these folk narratives can provide insights on religious practices of this Assamese society, and it can also shed light on the role of spirit mediums and their significance within the culture of the Assamese community. So that's all. So this is the bibliography part. Thank you.
I think we rush to Sridevi and Kusum. Please ask the next session chair that we may steal another 5 minutes more from their session. Okay, Sridevi, are you there? Sonia?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sridevi.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. I'll be concluding it fast because I know there is no time. So the title of my paper is Preserving the Histories, a study of the Panan or Malayan community through their rituals and oral narratives. So this paper tries to explore how memory has been an integral part of the life of the subaltern for preserving their culture. So memory is a capacity to remember, to create and recreate our past. The one who belongs to the lower caste that doesn't have a written history of them preserves their own histories through their oral narratives. So the Panan or Malayan community of Kerala, who belongs to the lower caste community, preserve their culture through their songs and other ritualistic performances. So through this, they try to memorize their histories and convey it to the world outside. So in the Sangam period, in Sangam literature, it states that the Panas were the most prominent singers and entertainers of the royal courts. So Panas were regarded as messengers who would gather stories and spread it to the world. The word pan itself means song. The panan means is or defined as the caste of musicians, actors, and players. So in Kerala, this community is mostly settled in the Palakkad and Thrissur districts. And in those districts, they perform Tulanartha Pata, Purato Nadagam, Kurattiyatam, etc. And whereas the same community is called as Malayan in northern Malabar, and there they perform the rituals like Teyam, Tira, Kalan Pata, Vedan Pata, Mandravata Patukal, etc. So among all these rituals, Panan is mostly associated with Tulanartha Pata. So it is a song sung during the time of monsoon. It narrates the myth about the rights granted to this community in order to recite the song. So it is a song sung to wake up Lord Shiva from his sleep. So the myth is a bit long. I'll just summarize it. It states that when Lord Shiva fell unconscious, there were nobody to who could help him to wake up. So later they found a person from this community, and with this song, Shiva woke up. So after thus, the Shiva granted this community by saying that you could live by singing songs, and you could take this as a means of livelihood. So in some parts, it is said that this song is about Lord Vishnu as well. So there are versions and variations of this same song, but the song regarding the rights given to the community still remains in each of them, because whether it's about Lord Shiva or Lord Vishnu, they always try to hint or keep up the portion where they are given the grant from the Lord himself. So similarly, in northern Malabar, the songs like Vedan Pata, Kalan Pata, or Mandravada Patukal also has the essence of their history, or they keeps these hints of their rights given to this community as well. So it's believed that through the songs, the evils are eradicated and the welfare is brought to the family. So during the time of monsoon, this Panan and his wife party goes to different houses and narrate this song. So in return, they are gifted with money and food, and thus it becomes their form of their livelihood. So this is a method or way of their survival as well. So through the songs, they also convey their own history and origin, and they also pass it to various houses and people all around. Even today, some of the members do perform these rituals, but these oral songs, which has been transferred from one generation to another, is getting fragmented year by year. So these songs could be seen as a way of remembering of their own history. In the mainstream narratives, where there are chances and conscious efforts to erase and forget the history of the marginalized, these performances or oral narratives could be seen as a preservation or reclaiming of the histories of the underprivileges. So this preservation can also be seen as their mode of survival as well. So here I'm concluding. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sridevi, for the brief and precise presentation. Do we have time for discussions or questions?
Sonia, we can wrap it up because the next section, Sanjukta chair is there or not, I don't know, but we missed some time with Josh, so he was the luckiest man.
Oh.
So,
Yes, sir. Sanjukta ma'am has already joined.
already there. Okay, Sonia, you wrap it up.
So we will conclude. We had really rich presentations. We had 5 presentations, And actually, I am really surprised to see that there are so many folk aspects all over India. We know it, but when we meet it directly, it's a real surprise. And I am really happy that the Center for Folklore Studies and Research is doing real worthy job to reclaim and update the folk culture of India, which I think has not paid much attention to, though we know that they are there. So all the 5 scholars, they have done their job really well. The presentations were really good, but we did have shortage of time. So wish you all the best for the further progress in your research. And thank you for inviting me as the chair of the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am and Jolly sir, for your valuable support and guidance. And thank you, our esteemed speakers, for the session, for such enlightening and equally engaging presentations. Now, I would like to conclude this session, and we move on to the next session, which begins now at 2 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone.